favorite toy truck nerds are back. Welcome to That Scale RC Show.
Still cracks you up every time you see it.
It's so loud, and then it gets louder like right at the end there where like you can hear it like really start to blow out the speakers.
It's not overly loud in mine.
Well, it's overly loud in my headphones
It's
too.
so
But yeah, welcome back everybody to episode 128. I'm one of your hosts, Adam, along with Jay and Travis. And how's it going, guys?
Good.
Doing good.
How are you?
Man, someone's real enthusiastic tonight.
Who? Trav or me?
You.
I've been enthusiastic.
Good.
Good.
I'm happy.
You? Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, what are we even talking about?
That's a banner you prepared.
Yeah.
That's good.
As you can
Probably gonna use that one a lot.
As you can see, we're trying we're playing around with more, I guess, features with the show and everything. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and it becomes more helpful as you're listening and or watching along. But yeah, so what has been up with you guys?
A lot. So I mean, this time of year, we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving and Black Friday and stuff, and so my camp is very busy at the moment. My work kind of starts in like September, because I work in fulfillment. So like that's mostly everybody sends, got to send the stuff in first before they can all ship it out on sales and stuff. So it's kind of like getting down to that point where like it's almost to the end, where it's like for some people it's kind of just ramping up, but I'm quite tired. So that's what I've been working on for the good last while now. Not much else.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't have the same problem of having to get ready for Black Friday and all that stuff, but we got the fun part of actually weaving the holidays into our schedule and making sure that we, stay on top of what we have going on, because we're nearing the end of this project. I don't know, I can't remember now if I've ever mentioned that in the previous episodes, but we're nearing the end, and so now we just got so much going on, and it's like, okay, we got floors finishing here, we got we got the driveway being poured this day and we're just like, okay, make sure that we don't screw anything up by saying, oh yeah, schedule, and then realize, oh, like this past Monday, holiday, we can't work in the town of Atherton, so we can't schedule anything. It's just all that fun stuff. So
you can't work in certain towns on holidays?
Yeah. So
what?
Yeah. Well, Atherton being one of I'm just gonna say it, the richest town in the United States. They follow a lot of the holidays like to the T. I could probably look it up and give you the actual how many holidays there are, but I want to say they take 14 or 16 different holidays, and there are actually no work days in the town of Atherton. You're not allowed to work, and if you actually work and they catch you, you get a big fine.
Wow,
crazy!
I have never heard of anything like that before, ever.
Well, maybe it's just but definitely. So I know that the town of Atherton does it. Hillsborough probably being the second most prestigious / rich, city in California. They follow the same rules. Woodside, I don't know. I can't remember, because Woodside's a little more, I wouldn't say they're more lenient. You can get away with more because Woodside's more spread out. So like up there, you're buying land, so you'll have like 2 or 3 acres. So your next neighbor is like kind of far away. So if you decide to do construction, they can't really pinpoint like, oh, it's coming from this area. They can just kind of hear it, and they're like, oh, we can't tell if it's over here or over there, and they all kind of leave you alone. Atherton, you're right on top of everybody. So like as soon as that property ends, boom, there's a house right there, right next to you. So as soon as you're doing something, they'll call the cops.
That's wild.
It actually, our painters tried to get away with a Saturday work day about 2 months ago, and they tried to hide all the vans and everything inside and shut the gate and everything. Well, I guess somebody was walking by, and one of the painters was actually outside and looked, and he saw the guy walking his dog, and he said all of a sudden he saw him like peeping through the green covering stuff on the fence. And as soon as he realized that there was people in there working, they said within 5 minutes, cops showed up, and they were like, "What are you guys doing? You should know better. You're not supposed to work on Saturday." They didn't give us a fine that time, but they just told him to get out of here.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There is kind of that is kind of okay. This is gonna sound weird, but that is kind of cool in a way, because like we've got a guy across the street who's been working on his house for like the last 4 or 5 years, and it's like every weekend in the summer there's saws going and stuff, and it just like after years and years and years of weekends and holidays and working on the thing, it gets old. So I mean, I do kind of get that as far as like keeping the neighborhood like quiet and stuff and nice, but that still is pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up right now. So I exaggerated a little bit. There's 10 days that they don't allow work. It's New Year's, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas Day.
No one cares about Columbus Day.
So, yeah, well, here, or no, I take it back. Construction is allowed for that day. They're just saying that it is a holiday. Sorry, I take that back. So they're not closed that day. Construction's allowed. The town is closed, meaning like if you're going to try and get a permit or whatever, they do the same thing on Thanksgiving. And there goes my phone. You can't work on November 28th, but the 29th you're allowed to work. It's just the town's closed.
Wow, that's wild. No idea. I get it though. I mean, it makes sense.
But yeah. So yeah, this town, it's also the same. We're having a big battle with parking right now because it's one of the few towns that actually like sticks you with a parking I guess you can say construction plan. So when you're doing under the duration of construction, you're only allowed to park directly in front of the property you're working on and on site. You're not allowed to block any neighbors' encroachments. You're not allowed to park across the street, this, that, and the other. And it gets really hard at this point of the job because we got so much landscaping going on. We got so much hardscape going on. We can't fit everybody on the job site, so they have to park out on the streets. We're like, where are we supposed to go? So we're in a big battle with them. They come by and always yell at us to move all of our vehicles.
Crazy.
So, yep. As Michelle says, I guess that's the perks of having money.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
preserving their property value.
Yep. So, yeah. So, but other than that, just trying to get through, all that. We were finally starting to get we had one of those weird weather changes. It went from being 80, 90 degrees one week to just every night, the following week was in the low 70s. And then now we're getting the chilly nights and we're down in the 50s every night.
It's kind of where we were too. We just went through a cold spell and got snow.
Yeah,
quite a lot of snow.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a couple buddies that live in Colorado Springs, and they were already showing snow when they were coming back from SEMA.
Yeah, pretty much all last week we got it. We left work early on Friday and everything. So and then anything that gets sunlight, which this time there's a lot of perpetual shadows, so it's kind of funny because a lot of it is melted, but then there's some spots that are going to be it's still going to be snow on the ground for weeks. But now it's 40s, 50s at night, whatever, kind of back to normal.
Yeah. So, and then we're actually finally getting hit with a little bit of rain. So not crazy amounts. It's actually, was that Monday? No, was it Monday or Saturday? I think it was Monday. Monday, we got hit pretty hard for a solid hour. I mean, it came down pretty hard. So, which is weird because today it got really dark really fast. And then it was just almost like you were standing under a mister. It wasn't really rain. It was just kind of misting. But we're starting to get to that time of year. So
Yeah, we go through a little bit. Like we'll get like a couple stretches, and then I'll probably be back to like sunnies and 50 probably through January. Where'd you
Adam
go?
doesn't care. He doesn't care about your weather.
I don't know.
No, I was listening the whole time. I had to pick up my phone because I started getting updates of the game, so my phone started vibrating on the floor. So I didn't want to.
Are you going to be okay with the game going on in the show?
Oh yeah, it's not football, so don't worry about it.
Not football. Then what game would you be watching?
Basketball.
Oh, dumb.
So, Kings versus Phoenix.
Phoenix is the Suns, right?
You got it.
Kings is
Sacramento.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
It says
Well,
on his hat.
I can't tell.
What would you have guessed?
I would have guessed just something like Oakland or something.
No, Oakland was the Warriors or Golden State Warriors. They were playing in Oakland, and now they're in San Francisco. There's not one sport team in Oakland right now, and at one point,
Oakland fucking sucks.
And at one point, they had 3.
Well, they need to take a good hard look in the mirror and figure out why they don't have professional teams. Because their fans are insane.
So, yep. But anyways, yeah, no, so I just felt bad. I knew, it was going to start vibrating. That's why I didn't have it on the table, because it was the same thing. I'm like, oh, it's just going to start going off and just be all annoying. So I'm like, I'll put it on my lap, and then I wasn't paying attention. It slid right off. There's like no good place. I need to like find something to like set it.
Got a little stand for the desk.
Yeah, see, that's what I need. I need something like that.
Like this. We've had this for a million years. It's from J Concepts. You can poke holes in it for building shocks. It holds a can, a phone or a tablet going across. How about that?
Yeah, I need something like that. I'm actually almost like looking around to see if I have anything that's like foam that's like within arm's reach, so I can set it there and it not be annoying. Yeah, that's what I need. I need something like that.
Whoa. Okay, that's trippy.
What?
There was a light flashing on my phone.
Yeah.
It's not doing it now. That was only showing up on the camera, not.
So it's funny you bring that up. So,
my camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there. Actually, Matt Hawk sent me this the other day. There, apparently, like when you use like the face, what is it, the face recognition to open your phone, supposedly the little infrared camera that goes off, if people are looking at you or looking your direction using night vision, you can see the little flash go off. It'll give, so they're like don't use your phone doing that if you're ever in like that kind of situation, because it'll give your location away.
If I'm ever like,
if you're ever in a combat, if you're ever in a combat situation and you need to like open your phone to pay some bills, make sure that you don't use the Face app.
I'll remember that the next time I got to fight my way out of 7-Eleven and
well, yeah, especially
down to my last mag.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was gonna say that the only reason why I thought of that is because Jay was talking about, whoa, there's a trippy light that only the camera picked up. So
well, that's good. Now I won't use my phone next time I'm getting raided by the DEA. Make sure to just leave it in my pocket.
But anyways, enough of that nonsense. What would you like me to get into next? Would you like me to get into the Scale Challenge West event that we just had?
Yeah, let's talk about Scale Challenge West.
All right. So that was October like 23rd or something like that. It was the weekend before I think it was the weekend before Halloween. Anyways, we went up to Rattlesnake Bar in Granite Bay, right there at Folsom Lake. Killer Train. They had there's one part of the terrain that was very granite and like that rough granite, almost like the sandstone. Killer traction, like the best scale looking area to crawl around in. It was pretty fun. Of course, like Elio and all of his themed events that he does, this one was supposed to be the X-Files, so it's supposed to be kind of like aliens, all that stuff. There was a cool little crash site kind of set up. A lot of people with alien stuff on their cars, so it was a lot of fun. I think there was, I want to say there was like at least 60, 70 people for a turnout.
Wow, that's really good.
Something like that. And he gave away a car to a kid that he actually met up at Cantina for the Con. So I guess he showed up, he did one of the test rigs, took it out, and he really liked it. And the dad came by and said, "Oh, this is really cool. One day I need to, save up and get one of these." And then Elio just, he thought like, "Oh, this kid doesn't have it. They need to, they want to save up and get one." So he's like, he reached out to him and he said, "Hey, you should come out to the event. We're going to have demo rigs again," just to try to like, coax him to get out there. And he showed up and he was checking everything out. And then Elio presented him with the rig. It was pretty cool.
That's rad.
Nice.
I don't know.
So, yeah. So, it's always a good time. And, we do the show and shine, pick usually like a first, second, and then the best of kids, best overall. Was that you or?
It wasn't me.
Oh, Siri's like listening in now. We're like talking crap about technology. AI is like taking over.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
So, but yeah, no, it was a good time. So, I believe there's another one in the works. Most likely not happening till after the first, just because Elio likes to get through all the holidays and all that stuff because it's kind of hectic. Plus, weather's a
First
little.
of the year, you mean?
Yeah, after the first of the year. Yeah, sorry, should have been more clear.
That's fine.
Yeah, after the first of the year, and it's gonna be I don't know, I'll just give it away because I know our listener base isn't huge, but it's gonna be like lumberjack theme, like
cool.
Axemen, lumberjack, all that kind of stuff. So I think Elio wants like all of us that are like part of the Scale Challenge West crew to wear like flannels and jeans and boots and all that stuff. So
red flannels and cover your jeans in bar oil.
Yep.
Good idea.
Nice.
The suspenders and everything.
Yeah. The tape measure and rainbow ones. Like the only two suspenders in the world that matter.
Exactly. So yeah. So that's that. And then I guess you can roll into NorCal We Rock if you want. So I picked up my chassis that my buddy's son's been working on for almost a year now, probably 10 months. Back in like January, right before the bug really took off, I was telling him, I said, it'd be really cool to have, a rig like this, but I said, I just don't have the time and or the skill set to make something like this. And he had just gotten into brazing. So he's like, I think I can do it. And I'm like, really? He goes, oh yeah, I think I can do it. So he did it. I don't know who he got these frame plates or skid plates from. I believe might have batch of stuff he got from Wordy. % sure where they. But he started out with that, bolted it up right to an SCX10 skid plate because I told him I wanted to run the 3 gear, and then he just went online and looked at a bunch of pictures and just started fabbing away. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure out where my camera is. So like everything's brazed, so it's like super clean. There's not like all the big like weld, boogers and everything. So it's like super clean. The everything on here is actually tube. You can kind of see it on the back portion that he started with because he didn't plug it off. It's all tube. The only thing, these little 1/8 inch bars are the only thing that are solid besides the plates where it mounts up. But I mean, he even put the nuts brazed on there so I can run the panels and everything. So
that's so rad.
Yeah, so he really didn't have anything to work off of. He just pictures and then what wheelbase that I was planning on running, and I told him it's just probably going to be about a 12-inch wheelbase. So he was like, okay, and I forget, I probably have to get a tape measure, but I want to say I think this overall is like, I want to say like 10 and a half inches maybe overall. So it should work pretty good. I've held it up to the Capra because that's probably the wheelbase that I'm going to run, and the axles are like perfect. They're like almost right at the front and end of this chassis. So
That's rad.
So yeah, so now I just got to finish collecting parts for it. I'm gonna go with the Vanquish F10 portals, and then they're gonna be 2 front axles, so that way I can get 4-wheel steer. I already said I'm doing the Axial 3-gear transmission with the dig, and I'm not using the actual factory bracket that the servo's on, because I don't know if anyone's familiar, if they remember on that, it like sends the servo out the back. Like, I actually have a servo here, like it goes long way out the back. So like you have the servo sticking out the back. So like on this chassis, it would be like sticking way out past like the bar in the back. Like it'd probably be somewhere like out here.
Mm-hmm.
So UC Fab actually came up with a bracket that rotates the servo, I guess you say 45 degrees and then 45 degrees again, if I'm not mistaken. And anyways, it so it rotates it, so it'll be sitting in here kind of like this orientation, so it kind of compacts everything closer to the transmission, and yeah, so I'm gonna go with that just to try to keep everything a little more compact, since some of I'm not gonna say crazy rules, but some of the rules that NorCal We Rock has come up with is they want a scale driver. So you got to be able to fit a scale driver in here. So compact is the best. I'm already planning on doing the Homes Hobby Outrunner. So that way, that's a really compact motor. That way, another thing that's going to save space. And then they also just came out with and I'm drawing a blank. What ESC it is. It's super small. I'm drawing a blank, but I'll maybe I'll look it up as we're going on. And then what else do I need for this? I already got the shocks. Oh, and then the other key component, what did I do with it? Oh, it's right here. So I picked up the Airtronics MT4 off eBay because this little potentiometer, this is what makes the rear steer like work way better than, I mean, I love my my Spectrum remotes. I have the DX5C that I've been running 4-wheel steer on my Capra. I think that's my only car that I have with 4-wheel steer, and it works. The problem is with the Spectrum setup, they have like a setup in there that's called 4-wheel steer, but it's kind of like the beginner's 4-wheel steer. It just mixes your front and rear. So when you're turning, it equally adjusts, and mixes it. So that way you're either doing and I don't know the proper term, you're either doing what I call like the really tight turn, where so they're both going it's going the same direction. So like the back will turn and the front will turn to give you that tight.
Yeah, so it's like the car's kind of C-shaped.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you can do the crab walk the opposite, or you can do just the rear steer, which I always just nickname forklift because forklifts usually steer in the rear. And that was it. And you just toggle between the switches, and that's how you drove it. Setting it up this way, because I've already driven Dan Wilson's, because he's the one who actually talked me into that. With that setup, you can actually drive and you can control the rear, and it goes just as fast as you're turning it. And because there's like a little, almost like a center, I guess you can say detent, you can find where center is and then let go, and your rear axle just stays straight.
That's sick. That would be really cool.
So
and it's close enough too, where like you can do it where like your thumb still reaches it,
Yep.
right? If you
Oh,
really,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what my hands are a bit too small to like do it comfortably, but even on the
Like I can sit here, pull the trigger, do this,
Yeah.
and still.
That is so rad.
But and it's what's crazy is they discontinued this. That's why I said
Yeah.
like I found it on eBay, which I'm sure once everybody gets kind of like the word that you can still find these on eBay, they're going to be even harder to find. But yeah, I just this was actually one of the only, when I was looking, this is like there was only 3 on eBay, and this was the only one that was in the United States.
Wow.
So it was in Pennsylvania. So the other one was in Australia, and then there was one in Spain when I was looking.
Does Mjolnir have that knob, Trav?
Yeah.
Does?
Yeah,
is
there's
freaking sick.
There's 2 on that one. It's got the same one in like the relatively same position, and then on the opposite side of the wheel towards the front, there's
The dial.
There's just okay, yeah. So it is there, yeah. So I've got one like that too, and that's just nice for setting adjustment mostly. But
so yeah, so this is it's really nice, and I paid $150 shipped.
That's a steal, dude.
And then the guy, and then for another $40, he threw in. I don't even know what I did with it. He threw in the receiver for it, which is the RX 471. So I think it's a 4-channel. So he threw that in for $40 because he reached out in the message and said, "Hey, text me if you need anything else. Let me know before I put this together." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "I'll take it," because what I've noticed is the new radio that everyone seems to be getting. I think partially for the price, and partially because it's one of the only remotes at the time. There's another one that's come out, and I'll get into that. But the Fly Sky Noble, no, not the Noble, the Fly Sky something, the GTS 50 or something like that. I'll look up the number if anyone's curious. It's got 2 potentiometer knobs, but they're on the top up here. So the problem is people are 3D printing that one hand steer thing on the steering wheel, so you can still grab it, and then they're doing this to steer. And I just think it's a little cumbersome and it's a little awkward. But it's a $50 remote.
Right.
So, and I think the receivers are super cheap too. So people are really getting behind it. Well, Fly Sky also came out with the Noble 4, which does have, but I have yet to actually see one in person, does have another potentiometer knob back here. But it's like a $299 remote.
that got me thinking, because I never actually really bothered to look at what they replaced the MT4 with, and I was just looking. So they do have an MT5, but it's actually here. What do you guys think the price is?
The MT5, if I'm not mistaken, that's like it's almost a $200 remote.
No, it's $329, and they got rid of that dial.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. They got rid of the dial.
That sucks.
So, yeah. So,
did they do that on the M17 too? And I just never noticed it.
That's such a handy feature. I mean, like, I think more manufacturers.
I mean, I will say I almost never used it racing.
Oh yeah, racing you wouldn't.
And like, yeah, I think they got rid of it on the M17 also. So that's a bummer. Like they still have a dial, and it's a notched dial still too, right? Like you have in the front.
Yes.
I do really like how it only could swing like one direction there, and like you could use that to set endpoint.
Yeah. So the Fly Sky Noble MB4, that's the one I was just talking about. It's $299. I'm on A-Main's website. It's $299. It does have the knob, but I don't know, like it doesn't seem to look as, like I can see the knob, but I don't know, it's like doesn't have that prominent lever like the Airtronics does, but it is back by like in the same location. The other thing with this remote is it's supposedly like it's all like LED screen, rechargeable battery. It's actually, I guess you could say, one of the first ambidextrous remotes, because you can actually pivot the steering wheel all the way around to the other side.
That's so sick.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, so because I was talking with Matt about that when I got that remote, because he's like, why did you want that remote? And I said, really just for the four-wheel steer, you know, the ease of four-wheel steer, having it independent. Because I've tried to pick, like, because like with the Spectrum, you can program the other channels. Like you can say, oh, this is a 2-position, a 3-position, a momentary. And I thought, oh, a momentary would be cool, but then it's kind of a pain in the butt because you got to hold it till it goes to where you want, and you can or you keep bumping it and then have to keep bumping it back, and then you're like, oh wait, hold on, is this? Whereas that, it's just like one fluid motion, and it's almost like driving the real thing, because you're like, as you're doing it on the rocks, you're actually watching, like you could be focusing on turning and then slowly, like just the rear just enough to where you can get over something, and it's like secondhand nature. Like it's a big game changer.
That's really cool. See, I have a Spectrum with mine, and I have it set up as a momentary, but it's not incremental. So like when you hit the rear steer channel on my radio, it just kicks the wheels sideways, and it will only hold them there. If you hold your hand on the switch, it just automatically returns to center.
Okay.
So it'll always bump back straight no matter what. So
what Spectrum
I have
remote?
a 5C.
See, on the 5C, you should be able to do the same thing. You should go into where it says four-wheel steer, and you can do the same setup that I have, where it'll adjust to what you're steering, but it's still like that's all you get. Like there's no, you just have to remember what, because you can either program all three, I guess you could say settings or whatever, or you can just do one or two, or you can kind of pick what you want. So you just got to remember, because like when I was doing it with that, is you just got to remember, okay, I bumped it once, so I know I'm in that one where it makes the C shape where I can do tight turns. And I was like, oh wait, I need a crab walk right here. So you have to bump it twice, and you got to remember, like almost count in your head how many times did you like, you know, or like shift it essentially. Like, did I shift it up 2 times or no? And then you just got to remember, and then always downshift it the whole way till it comes back to normal. And it's just, just a lot to remember. And it, like I said, it doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it's not as nice as that. So, so that's pretty much that buggy in a nutshell. So I'm hoping to get that thing up and running within like a month or so. I don't know if I'll have time. So Elio just had a what he's calling practice. So he had a practice day. Was it this past weekend? It was this past weekend. He had a what he's calling a practice day. So they all met out at Folsom, and they set up gates and lines and all that stuff. And everybody that's into this, they come out, they kind of like, they allow you to drive, kind of figure out, like, get used to the car, because what a lot of people don't realize is, and you can get totally crazy with these rigs, they just handle way different than a scalar. So they're not, it's not the same. So it's like a lot of people, you have to learn, like, oh, you know, what can you do? And then Dan's got this crazy on one of his rigs. He's actually running the DX6, the one with the 2 joysticks.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got that, and he's able to shut off motors, and he's actually able to essentially have each axle spin opposite directions at the same time, like as he like adjusts whatever. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
That's rad.
He was dropping into like this like V crack thing when we were out at the Scale Challenge West event, and he was he reversing? So he got stuck. So he reversed the rear, but was going forward with the front. So it like made the car kind of pop up, and then he was able to drop the ass end in and then go right up. I mean, like, you can do so. It's like, it's just ridiculous, like what you can do when you go that detailed into it. But then he's got 2 motors, 2 ESCs. Like, yeah, it's just crazy.
Because some of these guys are even running like front dig, rear dig.
Oh yeah. So, and then that's the other thing too. Like, I can go over I could pull it up and go over the rules more, but there's really only like 2 or 3 classes with the NorCal We Rock or Scale NorCal We Rock RC events, and it's 1.9 Pro Mod, 1.9 Unlimited, and then the 2.2 Unlimited. 2.2 Unlimited, you can have all that crazy stuff. You can have the dual motors, you can do all that stuff. 1.9 Unlimited is basically just kind of like what that's going to be. You can do 4-wheel steer, dig, and it has to have 1.9. And then the Pro Mod is pretty much is fairly similar to the 1.9 Unlimited, but you have to have straight axles and you have to have a C channel or ladder style frame with the cage mounted on top of it.
That's cool.
So that allows you to, like, if you want to do like the Gatekeeper, you know, you can actually run the Gatekeeper as a Pro Mod, because it's got a cage style on top of, you know, the C channel. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun. So he does the practice days. Now he's got a second practice day that's coming up on December 7th at 10 a.m. In Roseville. It's actually going to be at Enlightened RCs, the owner. It's at his house. Like, he's got a whole scale setup in his backyard. So they're going to go there and practice over there.
Wow, that'll be cool.
Yeah, and then Elio's stoked because then it allows him to have a barbecue, and he's gonna grill up some lunch and everything for everybody. So
Nice.
So yeah, so if you're in the area and you want to check it out, make sure you're on NorCal We Rock RC's Facebook. It's also on the Instagram, and it'll also be reminded as we get closer. So, but I just don't think there's enough time for me to get this thing done in time, just with everything I got going on. So it's a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it when it's all done. That's what I keep saying. So I can't wait. So
no, that'll be really cool. Looks good.
So now we got to get you guys in on it.
I know. I'll build one eventually. Just have such a long list of to-dos. So much stuff I gotta finish still.
And that's pretty much how I am with stuff. Like, because at first, like, I was like, okay, I got to do this. I got, and then, now that I got the chassis in my hands, it's like I'm so itching to just want to just like dump everything right now and just get everything. But it's like, we all have other, obligations and stuff to take care of. So I can't just totally dive right into it. But
no, I understand.
But yeah, so it'll be worth it. But yeah.
Right on. Well, should we go over what is new? We made a post on our social media earlier this week about FMS's 1/10 FCX10 LC80 Toyota Land Cruiser.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to get this thing right. So what I'll do is I will share that thing. All right, you guys will have to tell me if you can see me move it around. And
yeah.
Okay, yep. Cool. So the very first thing about this is that you kind of notice is it is very, very detailed. All kinds of scale accessories. We've got a ladder on the back, a roof rack, functional lights, snorkel, wipers, door handles, not just stickers, it appears. Lenses in the bumper, 3D molded accessories like the grill and the bumper, some kind of swamper looking tires, no portals or anything. It's a straight axle. Your interior with a driver figure. But what's mind-blowing about this thing is $299.99.
Yeah.
Like
that's kind of an awesome deal for this.
That is kind of setting a new standard almost. And these guys are like really, they're known for having a lot of really scale looking rigs, but most of them are smaller scale, like 18th and 24th.
Yes.
A lot of 24th scale rigs and stuff. And I think the 10th scale stuff has been, if I'm correct, maybe within like the last year or so that they came out with their 10th scale platform. Now, you're not going to have a lot of hop up options for it, but at the same time, that's not really what this is for. I mean, there'll be guys that'll like get one of these and wheel it and stuff. But like, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of like aluminum knuckles and things like that for it because it's a scalar. You're not going to be driving this thing.
Well, I think that's also because that like FMS is still not really broken through. I mean,
right, and that stuff could come with time, but at the same time, this is also
could come with this release.
Going to be like getting bound up and trying to power through really hard lines and stuff. It's just not really the truck for that. So I mean, the lack of like aftermarket support and metal parts and stuff, for me personally, that's not a deterrent with something like this, because I would probably use this for its intended purpose of trailing and some scale driving and stuff like that. See if we can get some more pictures here. The driver's a little big, but better than not having one.
Now, I don't know if this is like insulting to say, but FMS reminds me of where Red Cat was when they kind of made that bridge from going, kind of like the cheesy toy grade into like when they became more scale. Not saying that FMS was ever like cheesy or whatever. They just remind me they're at like that point where they haven't quite crested over to where they can become like a heavy hitter where people start carrying hop-up parts and whatnot for that brand.
I think you'd also need something that has like really solid mass appeal, because what we especially have not talked about, I think too, is like a sense of community in the rig that you're running is really big. And I think that it's a little hard for people, even if they see like there has been, like this isn't like it's the first cool FMS release, but it still is a little bit to kind of like, it's hard to get people to take a whole like net new leap.
Yeah.
So, what do you make? Oh, you make this and you offer it for, a really good price for what it is. I mean,
yeah.
I think the thing that also would give people pause is like, what is the real quality of the chassis and everything else? Like,
which I'd be curious to see.
I'd love to get my hands on one, honestly, because really love to like. I'm sure that honestly, it really wouldn't be that far off from like being a comparable truck to drive.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's got metal links.
I mean, that's big right there.
From what I can see, inner fenders, kind of a Traxxas or Red Cat style layout with the battery in the middle and the rear. This was really cool. I noticed right here, the magnetic body mounts, the wires for all the lighting and stuff use magnets as contact points. So you don't have any plugs or anything to plug in to get your wires to work. You just,
I really like that.
Sick, right? Like just really, really cool, well thought out ideas on this car.
This whole thing's very, I mean, even if, like you said, if some of it is like inspiration, which like, how many ways are there to do it? I mean, it's a very thoughtful vehicle top to bottom. Like there's nothing here where I'm really looking at it where I'm like, oh, like, well, here's where the compromise was. Like,
well, I mean,
is that you don't, I guess, fully know what you're getting out of familiarity with them, I guess.
Well, the other cool thing is like they also went out and got the licensing for the body, so it's like it's an actual Toyota licensed, rig, which Toyota, fans have like a big following, so that's gonna hit big with the Toyota fanboys. So
550 motor, 325 millimeter wheelbase, so it's a long one. So that's cool. 2S or 3S capable. 76 millimeters of ground clearance. Approach angle's 51 degrees. That's actually really good.
Like it looks for what it is and what it's supposed to be. Like it looks really capable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does. Greg Vogel from RC Driver Online had some really great videos and stuff that I had shared of this thing, and it looks like a quality rig. I mean, as far as like durability goes and stuff like that, time will tell. But I mean, I don't know, like that $299 price point just kind of blew me away. Like that, when I saw that and I looked at this, how did they come in at that price point and have it be so low and have licensing and, I mean, full LEDs? I mean, this is by far the most detailed vehicle you can buy for probably under $350.
Well, and what's crazy is it's blowing you away now based on like everything that it comes with, but remember about 8 years ago, you could get the deadbolt. I'm not saying it's as detailed as this, but you could get the deadbolt for under $250.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, the days of like getting rigs like this low are kind of like gone. But for being a super detailed rig, snorkel lights. Now,
Metal links. I mean, the metal links is huge.
I don't believe those roof lights work, but I could be wrong.
I think they do. I think they got wires.
Do you think they have
I
wires?
remember- I'm pretty sure.
Because I thought it was just in the headlights and maybe taillights.
And it's not. One of the things I did see in the video.
Oh, no,
they work.
They work. That's cool.
The turn signals are functional. That was another thing I noticed in the video, which I thought was really cool.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just such a good value for what you're getting. I mean, I would get the thing, strip all the decals off of it, and just run it. I mean, it looks so good.
I'd run it stock. I mean, people should buy this.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like this is one where, like, if you are kind of thinking about a new rig, like this would be a fun departure from whatever program you've got going on. And I mean, the price point is huge for what it is. I'm sure there's. I mean, I don't know. Never mind. I won't go there. But I do like that it's a price low enough that maybe it'll start. It could help. It provided that these sell and people buy them, which they should. Then it would be nice to kind of force everyone back a little bit into a point where we need to be a little bit more price conscious. Because I understand with circumstances and everything, like price creep and stuff like that's going to happen. But I mean, to what you're talking about, I mean, I do also think that we've really started to get into the territory where like $400, $500 price tags for like scale RTRs and stuff like that are normal. Yeah. And I would like it to start going the other way. I think that it's time we kind of rebound on that. I don't think there's any reason why any of that should be that expensive.
Well, and with stuff like this and some of Red Cat's new entry level rigs and stuff, there is a lot more available now around that $300 point, like especially like the new revised base camp, which we'll get into that in a minute. But other manufacturers are kind of having to take notice. One of the things that I noticed after, going through and seeing this and kind of shopping for something comparative, Element dropped the price on their Sendero SE Sport Edition, which is like their entry-level rig, from $299 to $275. And I would imagine that's kind of in response to some of these other vehicles that we're seeing that are coming in around the 300 mark that have a little more with them. So they're pricing their stuff a little more competitively. And then, and that's kind of actually a really good segue to jump into with Axial with the base camp.
Well, here, one note I want to make.
Go for it.
Was we also had a very similar conversation recently, though, about like, well, hey, Vanquish is finding a way to do this. Like the brand that you used to attribute to, like, oh yeah, Vanquish stuff is great, but you also immediately thought of the cost every single time, like how much,
right,
like price tag. And somehow they've managed to get it to a spot where it's like actually you look at it as like, yeah, this is like competitive and reasonable with everything else that you're buying right now. So it's like, hey, like it's possible. We are getting there. So I don't know. I like the trend.
Yeah. I mean, people are doing it. So it's like, and, and they're including things like bearings and stuff like that other manufacturers have admitted to try and stay within that price point. But, like this $300 entry level mark, with having Axial dropping the base camp, the revised version of the base camp, usually when there's a revision that comes out and it's got some stuff changed and they've added more features and whatnot, the price goes up. But they just did not go that direction with this, which I thought was really, really cool. Get this off of here really quick. Get back over to Axial. So let's see. Sorry, not very fast at this.
No, it's okay. Like I said, we're still. This is like one of those, testing the water.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still kind of figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, so $319.99. With the points and stuff that you get with A-Main and things like that. I mean, it's still around that $300 price point. $20 more isn't that much, but a lot of cool features they added to this. They've got some traction ladders, a rear bed rack now. They added a snorkel. Looks like they've added mirrors to it, which I don't believe it had before.
Is that the same bumper?
Yeah, it's the same
DC
bumper.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Huge on it.
It's like, what is that? Falcon Wild Peak tires, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. You'd have to go
looks
back.
like it has a tonneau cover on it, the way they did the bed, which is cool.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I kind of dig the rack on it, like it's kind of somewhere. It's in between overland and going wheeling,
Yeah.
But again, like this is an exceptional value also. Portals. Did the original one have portals?
No, that's the other new thing with this.
Wow. That's
because I keep looking over because I have
I thought that's why it looked weird from the front. I have
a base camp sitting over on the side because that's a project that we're kind of working on with Scale Challenge West. We're all gonna, not all, but a handful of us took some of the demo rigs, and I gotta fix that one because I probably should grab it and show you guys. I don't know how somebody does this to stock links, but the link is like completely horseshoed, and I don't know how they did it. But anyways, so I got to fix that, and then I was gonna just do a little flare to it. And it's funny because I was talking about doing a flare like this. Like I was like, oh, I'll make it kind of like overlandish. Like I'll build a little, rack for the bed. Maybe throw a snorkel on it. Just kind of make it that kind of overlandish, little decal stuff, and then we can raffle it off at the next event. And then they came out with this, and it's kind of like, well, that kind of like stole my thunder, but.
I mean, the other thing you could do too is just order the accessory parts tree. Like all that stuff is probably going to be in the same bag, like everything they added that's new.
Yeah. $320 is a good price for this.
Well, especially with portals, that's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't that like I somehow when this came out, that part of it completely escaped me, and until we were sitting here thumbing through the pictures, I had no idea that this thing had portals. So that's
yeah.
wild.
I don't think the other one has portals. Here, I'll go off screen again, see if I can grab it without.
I thought
knocking everything else over. Give me 1 second.
Aluminum shock bodies.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Didn't the original have portals?
I honest to God don't remember.
I felt like that was one of the. Oh my God! Now I don't know. This is gonna sound mean, but it was such a not memorable release the first time.
Oh no, the first one has portals.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember. I've been so far out of the loop with Axial.
But
stuff.
This is what we were talking about. How do you do that to a link?
Holy shit!
What?
Like it is completely horseshoed. Like I was like, how do you do? I just don't get, how do you do that?
Tried to like back out and
just make your own high clearance links.
But yeah,
that's wild.
Huh. That's funny.
That was really funny.
But yeah, so anyway, so I have that base camp. I gotta do a little work to it and then get it ready for giving away at one of the events. So keep your eyes peeled.
I just learned that you can zoom in and just have you on there. You like how that worked out? This has so many cool features. It's
so now that I gotta do a take two and show you the we rock all over again.
No, it's just cool knowing that we can do that now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is, because that body is kind of hammered, I think I'm going to get a new body for it. That way I can paint it up the way I want to do it. Maybe, like you said, get those part tree for it for the accessories. Haven't decided if I want to keep the bumpers plastic or do like metal bumpers. like hit up Scale Metal Supplies.
Supposedly, on those bodies, the windows are the same shape as the Proline metric, and I will send you a window kit for that so that we can find out, because it would be nice to do one that didn't have painted over windows.
Yeah,
That's one thing that's a bummer with those.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
I wish that everybody would get away from doing sticker windows.
It's just one of those things. It's a price point cut, so it's like, I mean, think about it. Now all they have to do is they don't have to worry about masking off the body. They just spray it all one color. Somebody comes in, sticker, decal kit, out the door.
And, and honestly, it probably saved like 10 minutes of assembly time putting them together and stuff. So, I mean, I get it. You know, it's just one of those things that bugs me, but also it's also one of those things that keeps us in business, because you can just buy window kits for it. So,
well, and it's a funny thing, because it's like you hear that and then you hear like me bitching about the price on everything, and it's like at a certain point it's like, well, like, yeah, they get that price down to where we want it to be. There's got to be something. I'll take
yeah,
it.
oh yeah, sure.
I'll take the cosmetic stuff every time. You know what I mean? Like, that's
right, and that's an easy fix. I mean, that's not hard, but it's just like you see that, and then it's like
it's still a valid point.
Scale masterpiece that FMS dropped, and it's like, man,
yeah.
Well, everybody's
let's go easy on masterpiece. If you look at it, they could have gotten the hat size a little bit better on the driver.
Yeah,
they looked like one of those, like, you see those people like in sports games where like they have the big hats.
Yeah.
Adam, you seen those?
Yep. I want one. I
really
want one too. So I want one too. And it was funny because I was telling Michelle I wanted to get one when the Niners were going to the Super Bowl, because like I was already getting everything ready, because I was like, I'm going to work all decked out, you know, this, that, and the other. I was like, I really wanted one of those hats. And Michelle's like, no, you're going to look like an idiot. And I was like, that's the whole point. It's funny. You're supposed to look like an idiot.
It goes hard. Yeah. You're going to argue with the big hat guy?
Don't argue with big hat.
Look at it from the front. Look at it from the front.
Can you?
Yeah, we looked at it at one point.
Why is it just go to weird? Huh.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. The other thing too is like, I think like some, like, so I'm just gonna put it out there.
That one.
Yeah, there you go.
That actually looks worse than on the side.
Yeah. So I always have like a I don't know if it's like a love hate. Like I always have like, I'm like a very bleh when it comes to, you know,
really?
People picking like picking bodies for the rigs they're going to release, because you have a handful of people that are like, oh, I'm just going to run the stock body. Then you got a handful of people that are like, no, I really want it to be a Bronco. I really want it to be, you know, a K5, you know, Blazer. I want it to be whatever. And they're going to change the body anyway. So they're like, oh, who cares if it's this or that, you know, because a lot of people will just change the body. So like, I think that's part of the reason why, and I'm just saying it from kind of, I guess you say, posts and stuff that I've seen, like when Axial came out with the Bronco, that thing was super detailed, super clean, badass, but I don't think it sold that well because of how tailored that rig was to that body.
Yeah, you got to be a Bronco fan to buy that Bronco.
So it's like, I kind of see the same thing with that FMS. Like, I mean, when you look at the picture with no body on it, you're like, oh, that's got a ton of potential. You can throw this on there. You can throw that on there. But then you're like, yeah, you're buying it and it's all kind of like tailored out for that LC.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of hard. That's why I always say I'm just kind of like, when it comes to certain body releases, because it's like, for me, it doesn't do any good because I'll probably take it off anyways because I'm not going to run that.
Yeah, people get really wound up about it for some reason. And I get it, you know, and there's a whole, like, you know, what was it? The criticism of Axial forever was upgrade another Jeep. But to your exact point, it's just like, well, like, yeah, but fundamentally the car is like almost identical.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what were you expecting, you know? And like, they're just going to change it. I'm kind of with you on that, where it's like, it really doesn't. I think what I feel like is the correct way to approach it is that, like, when you see something like this, it's like, oh, that's cool, like it stands out. But, you know, I mean, also too, if it weren't for that body, it's kind of hard to imagine we'd be talking about the FMS one right now.
Right.
Well,
But it's not. So it's not like this came out or like another one came out and or like this has been a criticism of FMS in the past. Like, oh yeah, but the body is like, So I just people get really wound about
the one props though I got to give is at least they also picked a fan base vehicle or something that you actually will see off road, because it's like when Traxxas first came out into the off-road world or into the scale world, and they came out with the
G class
with the G class. It's like
Yeah.
who's buying a G class and is gonna go just beat the crap out of it on a trail? Like nobody.
Diesel.
It's like nobody. Well, yeah, but nobody back then. Nobody does it.
Right.
So it's
I
like
mean, that's the 12-year-old's release, I think.
yeah. So you're just like, okay, that's cool, whatever. I mean, now like they've come out with the Chevy, they've come out with the Bronco, they've come out with other ones, but
yeah, really
I mean,
cool stuff. But yeah.
it's but like their initial one, you're just kind of like, really? It's kind of like the same thing. It's like what if they came out with something? They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna put a I don't know, they're gonna put a brat on there and we're gonna call it like that's our release, and you'll get those guys that are like, oh, it's so weird and cool that I like it, and then the majority of the people are gonna be like, yeah, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
well,
I
there's
will
not
say,
a lot of Land Cruisers out there at all in the
No.
RC world, and so I mean, there's a
No,
couple
okay,
hard
good.
body ones and stuff, but they're kind of small. But like this thing, like I would buy it because of what it is, not to ever change the body or something on it. I would buy that because like I want a Land Cruiser.
Yeah,
that would be the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
Trav,
I
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say one thing though is that if you were going to go down this path, like hey, like licensed body, all that stuff, and then what to release, like I feel like FMS nailed it on the head, especially since, I mean, we've not gotten one of these, I think, have we? Like this is so I will say FMS does have a bit of a problem on their hands if they can't move these.
Yeah.
Like this is the one where I'm kind of like, okay, like if you're going to break into market now, like it has to be this one. And like that body and that price point, like I hope that there's enough people to see that, because that's the one downside of that release, maybe at least on their camp, is like, what do you do after this?
Yeah.
That's going to be a challenge. So
yeah, how do you follow up that thing? I mean, that's rough.
Right, because it's not like, oh, you can just we'll go try and get a Jeep license next or whatever. It's like, well, that's not going to, even if they could secure that, like it's not going to have the same potency at all. So I don't know.
They have, I'm going through here to look at the rest of their 1/10 rigs. They have not many.
No, I was going to say, I know Elio took the one rig that they had. It was kind of like, it was that tow truck rig, and he kind of like did his own twist on it. I think that's one of the only 1/10 that's really like sticking out to me.
Well, they've got the Michigan, which is like the Jeep, I think a CJ or something.
Okay, yeah.
They've got that. Actually, here, I'll just share the page really quick. That would be easier. Sorry, guys. Let me do that really quick. Okay, so you must be talking about this one, the 1/10 Atlas.
Yep.
199.
I think this was the last one we covered from them.
Yeah. So there was that. Then the Michigan. We talked about the Michigan. I remember when that came out. We missed this one, which is the FJ40, 329 price point. Let's see what this has in the way of. It appears it's got an interior. The exterior of it is every bit as detailed as their other rigs, so that's cool. Sorry, it's a little slow loading pictures here. Okay, it's really slow loading pictures. Yeah, so it looks like an interior. And I think it's probably important to note too, I believe that $299 price point for the LC80 is for pre-order. I think it will jump up to $349 once it hits the market.
Yeah, I was wondering about that earlier, actually. I don't think that's
The
bad.
other 1/10 scale they have, so it looks like they've got like what, four 1/10 scales. They have a 1/10 Chevy Blazer without the canopy on it, which is kind of wild. Looks good.
It does.
I mean, it's not like my style, but
Adam, what do you think of that one?
Honestly, like I'm a softie for Chevy. I'm just not a. If you're gonna do a square body style, do the pickup truck. Just like the Blazer to me.
yeah, don't do the Blazer and have it be a pickup. That's weird.
Yeah, so for me, if you're gonna go square body Blazer, do the full top. Otherwise, for me, I personally
Sorry.
calm down there. For me,
I didn't know it was the video.
for me, I like the 70s Blazer better than the 80s. So I mean, if you're gonna go Blazer, I would go that route. But yeah, so I mean, they do have some of the kind of what I call classic colors for the Blazer, which is cool. So it's definitely, like I said,
That's part of the reason why it's more. Okay.
yeah,
because the Blazer is less detailed than all of them, but it's more money, and that's got to be because of the portals and stuff. I'm assuming.
probably portals. Maybe Chevy's got a steeper licensing price than.
Whoa! Look at this. Did they?
Oh, what is this?
Interesting. I would love some better body off pictures of this, but there just isn't any. This is.
I think that was the problem with.
This is the only one.
That was the problem with the last release we covered. What I was talking about is like how much do I have to work to get an off body shot of this?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can Google it, if they have it on Google.
Man, you would think they would have it on their site, but it's not. That is the only off body one, and it's from the bottom. Huh, interesting. I wonder if they're if that Dodge thing is the same chassis, if it's a portal one. No, it's not. It's only 190. Wild. Anyways, interesting stuff coming from these guys.
Yeah. People should buy. I think people should buy that.
Well, we've definitely seen a pickup. Yeah, we've definitely seen a pickup of FMS at some of the events that I've been to.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that they're going to eventually kind of break that market, where they can actually contend with the big three. But yeah, I think if they just keep doing what they're doing, it's going to keep moving up from there. And the other cool thing, which I think nobody's talked about, I don't even think we've mentioned it, is all FMS rigs come with that styrofoam cutout box you can store the car in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did not know that. That is really
well. At least with the
protective.
At least with the 12th scale, it does. So like when you get like the 12th scale, it comes in like this gray styrofoam box, and it like the car, everything fits in it perfectly.
That's pretty cool. And this is the revised, revamped 18th scale Capra they came out with. I believe both versions have
the Mickey Thompsons
with Proline wheels, new graphics, and rear steer. That was new, right?
Yep. Rear steer, graphics, tires, and that was pretty much it.
So pretty cool. It's surprising how popular these are with guys throwing like 1.9s on them and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is I think the 18th is hitting that weird market where I've seen a couple people, like Elio being one of them. They got what body was that? He's got some Jeep body that he threw on one of these. He literally just cannibalized the top and threw it on there. So I think it's one of those. It's kind of bridging a gap where people are buying it not so much to be the Capra, and then they like turned it into something else,
which is cool.
So
Also, that gray cage is exceptional.
I was gonna say, I think that gray cage is probably
Doesn't that look good?
Underrated decision on their part.
Yeah, definitely. I wish more manufacturers would think outside the box when it comes to the color of their plastic cages.
Well, the
Vanquish
other
with the H10, which is really cool. Like their gray cage looks good. This darker gray looks freaking awesome though.
Well, the other cool thing that they did too is like, you notice how Axial kind of like, they kind of step out of the box when it comes to like what brands they choose. Like, because when they had the 4-wheel steer, I think Capra, when that came out, the two color choices was the black and red, and what was the other one?
There was a Nitto one and a Curry one.
So Nitto and Curry. This time they got King, which I don't know if there's anybody that's really brought King into the crawling world.
Other than Axial with the bomber, that's really
Damn, I guess you're right.
Well, low C, Axial with the bomber, and then low C with one of the Baja Rays.
The Baja Rays,
but I also think that's maybe a testament to your point, though, where it's like King is also one of the ones where if someone is going to do something like this, that's what you would have expected, and that's actually not really been the case. So, like, that's still pretty cool.
And then, like, they brought in Black Rhino, which is not like a really big name because, I mean, most people, I think, well, they used to do whatchamacallit, Method and like KMC. And then they brought in Black Rhino, which is kind of cool because that's a brand that, it's kind of big in the off-road world. It's a newer brand, but yeah.
I did a nice job on these.
Oh, they did.
That's really cool for an 18 scale.
Yeah.
I don't get excited about small stuff much, but
yeah, I don't either. It's not really my bag, but they made
this
these
is a cool one.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then there was the Lexus, the 124th Lexus.
Oh, yep. Go back and I'll pull that up really quick.
So, which is still kind of crazy. Like the fact that the 124th stuff is still chugging along. Like there's still enough of a market that they can like, yeah, we're gonna come out with something that nobody else is like ever really turned into an off-road rig, and we're gonna take a Lexus and we're gonna make it a little crawler.
Yeah, like I've seen overland versions of these in the real world, and
I've seen like 10 of these. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool rig. It's just not usually on an RC person's radar, which is rad that they dropped this.
It was common enough. I was surprised that someone's not done this on 10 scale yet.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a really cool one. That'd be a neat release.
I probably wouldn't sell like crazy, but it'd sell enough probably to make it.
Well, to me, what kind of blows my mind is, okay, if you think about it, they came out with all the stuff for the 124th scale. Okay, so you got the body, okay, that's the same bumper as the 1/10th scale, the DC bumper. I mean, you really like couldn't just say, hey, let's make this the 10th scale, and they reprint out the snorkel, that rack, they just upsize the body puck for that body and just come out with the 1/10th scale.
Well, I think there are different like proportional considerations. Like I don't think you'll be able to just scale it up. But the other thing I was thinking about too, though, is that actually maybe the reason we're not seeing it yet is because this could be a test to whether if these do well selling as 24th scales, then that might prove some potential interest in the 10 scale. Because I could see like if these end up being pretty popular, it's hard to it's hard to imagine a 10 scale wouldn't be following.
24th scale is such a comp driven performance scene though. It makes me wonder like how well scaled out rigs.
Yeah, because like Elio was actually I was talking to him the other weekend. I want to say it's maybe 2 or 3 weekends ago now. He was over at the Enlightened RC guy's house, and they were doing a backyard comp with the 124 scale, and they get like all crazy with like what they do with it.
Yeah, but I wonder there. I think the thing about 24 scales, and I could be totally off base, and you guys might be right about this, but I do also think that it's one of those things where there's the cohort of the people who are not doing the comp stuff, and that aftermarket is crazy for the 24 scales. but then those are probably the people that you're honestly not running into all that often. Like the more maybe fair weather RC enthusiasts, like
Yeah.
where like there's probably a harder divide in those kind of congregations of people, if that makes sense. So I could also see it being where it's like quite a few of them that are sold that are being used, like you never really see and are kind of just left as is because they're an easy barrier of entry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, 'cause most of them,
it's like us that keep then doing
Yeah.
everything else to them.
well, the cool thing about it is, like, I know it's pretty popular with people with little kids because they can get, like, you have multiple kids that are under the ages of 8, you can go and get 2 cars and probably for close to what you'd be paying for one of the big full size cars, and they both can, they can both go out and enjoy it. Whereas, like, you go out and buy the kid a 1/10, then the younger one's like, well, how come I don't have one? And it's harder for a family to buy both of them. So it's like a quote unquote gateway drug into the RC world, because you can get it. You have it's a fully ready to run. It even comes with a battery. So you got battery, charger, remote, car. You can go out and it's not going to perform like the 10th scale,
But they
you can
drive
go out and have
pretty
some fun.
well. They drive pretty well. I mean, like obviously, for the element ones, I think we did some like repositioning, just a little bit, like just some weight stuff. But like, I mean, that was just because we wanted to have like a comparable driving experience versus what we were doing 10 scale on. I mean, they're really fun for what they are, and any like someone getting into it that's kind of new that like really doesn't know any better, it's hard to feel like they're missing out kind of on any of these. Like, I think they're all really good options.
Yeah. I think if you were going to build a comp style one, though, I think it's good that they have the base camp, which I've got pulled up here now. That's just $99.99 out the door, which is
easy.
a smoking good deal. So, this is like probably the perfect solution. And having something like this in your product lineup helps when you're trying to sell your own stuff against, a scaled out 24th scale. So,
well, the cool thing too is, like, you can actually leave that body and run it as a comp body. I mean, it's already pretty much like kind of cut up, and you could cut it up a little bit more, like, open up the wheel wells just a little bit more.
Yeah, you could dove the bed on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff.
I mean, what you could do if you really wanted to get stupid with it, what you could do for like another, like, what, $7,500, it's like it's game over, and that's like all you need. Like, and you got to think too. I mean, lifetime compared to most verticals. I mean, well, I guess maybe hobby, this isn't always true, but like lifetime value for an RC customer is really long. But that means that you also have to work pretty hard to acquire them, right? And especially if you're doing stuff like this. So it's like the small stuff is. I think that part of it too is like all of it in a way is kind of still new enough where it's like you're still kind of seeing the results of some of this play out, and like these offerings are still getting optimized.
I just kind of wish that they would have scaled down the little bed rack from the 10th scale for this, because I think that would have looked badass.
Well, I was gonna point out. Yeah, I was going to point out on that one too that I really liked that one of the photos they show where basically that's like this is your pickup point on it. So you're not like reaching for the front grab of the bumper and hanging it by it and stuff like that. I was kind of surprised it was like strong enough in that spot where like you weren't risking like kind of pulling through the body. But I thought that was actually pretty clever where it's like, hey, this is actually pretty comfortable to just hold it that way.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I've noticed now with Jay just floating through all these photos, even of the Lexus and stuff, I've noticed that unless I'm just missing it, they must have went to a hidden body mount, because the original SCX 24s had the one post sticking out the center of the hood.
Yeah, this the Lexus is Velcro, and this one probably is too, I think. I had to guess.
Go to the body off.
Yeah, it's Velcro.
Yeah, that's a good choice for the size, honestly. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely.
No reason to complicate it.
Yeah.
Products are distributed pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
And then there's guys that actually have tailored their RC content / like YouTube channels, whatever, to 24 scale only. Like there's Cape Crawlers. That guy, all he does is 1/24.
Some pretty robust links for being plastic, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like weight's really an issue.
I want to say their Axial has I think they changed all their 24 scale stuff to oil shocks now too. So I see a metal shock shaft. The one that we got, we had one of the original Jeep JKU 24th scales.
Yeah, I swapped my shocks out on that one. I'm
Or
running
JLU, sorry.
Yeah, I'm running the hot racing. I can't remember, but then I think the Burb is still stock shocks, but it's all on the other side of the room. I'm not going to get up and go get it.
It's just cool that that's like one other thing they've improved without hiking up the price, and even on their $99.99 base model still has oil shocks with metal shafts instead of plastic stuff.
I also never noticed with the pivot balls with the recessed bit for the shock mounting and the like steering linkage and stuff like that.
Yep.
That is actually really badass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably really late to the party on that one, but that's a little detail that I wish that more of the 10 scale stuff would have.
Well, in our defense too, 24 scale just isn't really something that we pay a lot of attention to. Like the three of us, for the most part, are.
Well, see, and not to cut you off, that's what I've kind of said in the past, because it's like I have 3 rigs in it, and I got the JLU that I've done a lot of just modifying to / adding a couple accessories to just kind of make it work better.
Yeah.
As a 124th. Then I got the Burb, which is kind of just like a showpiece car, because it's like I'm not really gonna like crawl that thing. And then I have the C10, which I was like, oh, maybe I'll turn that into a comp crawler, but I just never really got around to, exploring like, okay, do I get all that, all those parts and then turn it into a comp rig when I don't really even comp to begin with.
And am I gonna drive it enough to even warrant any of that? Like, I had these grand aspirations to take one of the flower beds that's beside the garage here and turn that into a little 24 scale crawler course. And I've been slowly collecting like rocks and chunks of concrete and stuff like that. But it's like I still haven't done anything with it. I mean, yeah, it'd be fun, like to have something right here, just right outside the door to just walk out and play with. But
it is also very much like if you have some time to kill.
Yeah.
It's just, you're waiting for your 10 scale to charge.
Yeah. I'm just not a huge 24th guy.
Yeah.
But they're cool. I mean, they definitely have
really,
market.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an insanely popular category right now. So.
Really fun in the right circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. More fun with a friend than by yourself. I tried to drive it by myself before, and just it wasn't. It wasn't all that exciting. But
exactly.
With everything with RC is better with a buddy, though. So it's just.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks again, you guys. It was awesome, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
See you guys later.